I got the opportunity to preview a game, and that is Pneumata, just ahead of its release. Pneumata is a psychological thriller horror game, and as the horror expert, the Resident Evil if you will, I couldn't wait to get my hands on this one. This is put together by Deadbolt Interactive, and I believe that is a solo developer, which makes this game quite impressive in its current state. It is a little rough, but we will get to that. Pneumata puts you in the shoes of your protagonist just trying to stay alive, in the face of some really awful horror, some really twisted creatures, and a lot of mystery going on in this sort of insane asylum slash prison. I'm not sure exactly what this actual environment is that I saw in the preview, but I can tell you it is depressing. This entire game, being a horror game, is very, very dark. Everything is really hard to see, and you have a flashlight with limited batteries. It's one of those. This is a game that happily states that it takes its inspiration from Resident Evil and games like Outlast, and I am a huge fan of Outlast. I can unfortunately say this game is not quite Outlast. It is a blend of Resident Evil aspects to that game, and mostly that comes in the form of combat. You do have to fight a lot of these creatures off. There is generally the option to kind of run away and hide and heal yourself to safety, but these creatures I found just always chased after me. They would come for me, and it became a combat slog. But just like Resident Evil, you're going through this game with a shotgun, a pistol, and some various melee weapons, but you're all the time trying to grab more ammo, conserve ammo, and just try and ration some of your survival elements, some of your potions, so to speak. You have bandages that you're able to kind of make on the spot with some items that you find in the environment. You're able to use batteries to refresh your flashlight and kind of keep yourself a little bit equipped for the situation. But generally speaking, you're going to be running away from basically everything until you find the entrance, the next gate, the next door to bring yourself into the new area. Because a lot of this game is kind of environmental puzzling. It's not anything so cut and dry like Resident Evil. There's no puzzles that I was confronted with where I'm trying to, assemble a pattern or anything like that. It was open up some switches, those open some doors in the kind of general vicinity, and that allows me to explore and kind of step my way through the objectives that you have as you're going through this. It is a guided experience. There are objectives, and although I can't tell where that is going throughout the course of this preview, it gave me enough of an inspiration where I didn't feel like I was lost. I didn't feel like I was trying to find what to do. It was more or less where to go. This mix-up of exploration, survival versus combat, it's a little strange to me, I have to say. The difficulty at first seemed quite daunting, but I was able to gather enough ammunition, and once I put the kind of pack rat tendencies aside and I was able to dispense some of this ammo, the difficulty didn't stand up. It was easier to blow through, and it became more of a mystery of, okay, well, where do I go? How do I explore some of these environments? The puzzle elements, such as opening safes, that was something that was really interesting, but I don't think it was used a whole lot, and that's a little annoying. But what I did see was an unfortunate amount of stress buildup. This game being a survival psychological horror, it is trying to give you that suspense, that give you that stress, and you're eventually going to overcome it. But some of the methods used are kind of annoying, to be frank. The audio is what I'm thinking of when I say that. There is a constant static kind of backtrack to everything, and it goes beyond the kind of general ambience that we're used to in these kind of games. It's not so much moaning, it's not so much pain, it's more or less a digital kind of static, and that became so grating. It was successful in giving me that stress feeling, but I feel like it kind of cheated to do that. Being a big fan of horror games, I've seen a lot of how these play out, a lot of how these try and work up some of that stress, and I think this really does a good job of trying to kind of put you through those paces. But when it comes to the combat, it's just really not challenging, and that's a big letdown, actually. When it comes to the puzzles, I really wish I could see more. This preview kind of ended before it got going. Right towards the end of it, I started experiencing a lot of these larger open areas. I was able to open some of the gates, have a little bit more of a free exploration, and that was a lot of fun. So towards the end of this preview, I started feeling a lot better about this game. It was a little rough at the beginning. The visuals are really, well, typical, what you would expect. Really hard to see. That can get annoying, and the audio was incredibly annoying. That all said, by the end of the preview, I do have a good outlook on this game. I do have to recommend this to the average horror experiencer, but I think you're going to have a little bit of a hard time at the beginning, so maybe stick with it, and I think there's something here for you.
Steady, we've transferred our system upstairs. George,